Alright, fixed, relative, and mixed references. You may have noticed that some formulas have dollar signs included, some don't. Basically, that dollar sign is what's used to indicate the reference type. So what it's doing is it's basically locking a specific cell range or reference, or part of a cell range or reference, so that it won't change if you apply or drag or paste that formula to other cells. So there are 4 different types. You can have a completely fixed reference, which would have a dollar sign in front of the column indicator and the row. So $A, $1. You can also just fix the column or just fix the row, in which case you'd only have the dollar sign in front of one or the other. Or you can leave it completely relative, which is the default version in Excel, where there would be no dollar signs whatsoever. So it's a little tricky to wrap your head around, but let's try to visualize what's going on here. So if I have a formula in A1, or a formula that has a reference to A1, and then I paste that formula down to C4, if my reference was completely fixed, A1 would not change as I move that formula down and over. If I were only fixing the row, as I paste down, you can see that the column shifts from A to C, but the row remains 1. Also, if I just fix the column, the A stays the same, but the row changes from 1 to 4 as you move it down. And then, of course, if you have it completely relative, both the A and the 1 change, and it becomes a C4. So, quick little pro tip here. As you're writing your formula, if you actually put the cursor in the middle of one of your references and hit F4, you can repeatedly hit that to scroll through each reference type. It's just a little bit quicker than typing in dollar signs every time. So always think about your references, especially as you're using multiple formulas. Let's jump into Excel. I want to show you kind of a hands-on demo of how this is really working. If you could open up the section 2 fixed relative references file, I'm going to work from there. You'll see there's only one tab called multiplication table, and basically I've set up a blank table with values from 1 to 10, and all I want to do is populate this multiplication table. So if I start and just say equals B1 times arrow over to A2 and hit enter, 1 times 1 equals 1, that's fantastic. Drag it over to column K, and I'll drag it down to row 11, and obviously something's gone horribly wrong here. This isn't correct math at all, and to diagnose what might be going on, what we can do is select any cell, hit the F2 key, and that will show us which cells the formula references. And if I just do that on a few different cells, I can tell that it's always referring to the cell immediately above and immediately to the left of my formula, which isn't what we want. We always want to multiply by the horizontal row and by the vertical column in A. So I'm going to click within the B1 in my formula and just hit F4. As you can see, that adds basically a completely fixed reference. It fixes the column B and it fixes the row 1. If I do the same to A2 and hit enter, now what happens if I apply this all the way over? I get 1 every single time, and as you can see, it's always referring to B1 and A2 no matter where the formula lives. So one more step that I need to take is to think about which piece of each of these references do I want to change and which piece do I want to stay the same. So for my first piece, B1, what do I want to be able to change, the column B or the row 1? So obviously my multiplication values always live in row 1, so I don't want that to change. But as I drag the formula over, I do want it to update to multiply by the value in column C, D, E, and so on. So all I'm going to do is remove the dollar sign before the B, and then think about the same situation for my A2 reference. In this case, my multiplication values always live in column A, but I want to update that to multiply by the value in row 3, 4, 5, 6, etc. So in this case, I don't want my row to be fixed, but I do want my column to be fixed. So if I hit enter, now if I apply this out and down, there you go. You can see I have a proper multiplication table.